The Princess in Black and the Bathtime Battle. Chapter 1. Princess Magnolia was in the kitchen designing a bridge. She placed cups up and down for supports. She balanced spoon and forks on top. She held her breath, but they all tumbled down. Too many forks and not enough supports. She would have to start over. Well, that stings, said Princess Magnolia. Just then, an alarming smell floated through the window. Princess Magnolia stuck out her tongue. No, she said, that stings. She checked her glitter-stone ring. It wasn't ringing. No monster alarm, just an alarming smell. This smelled like a problem for Princess in Black. A few minutes later, the Princess in Black and Blanky was galloping away from the castle. Do you smell it too, Blackie? She asked. Blackie sneezed. He almost definitely smelled it, and he'd prefer to never smell it again. They followed the odor all the way to the goat pasture. The goats were gagging. The goats were gasping. A squirrel was turning green. I'm glad you've come, said the Goat Avenger. We got trouble. It sure smells like trouble, said Princess in Black. The Goat Avenger kicked the cloud of stench. We can't battle it, Princess in Black. She punched the cloud of stink. Our ninja moves do nothing, Goat Avenger. Yeah, said Goat Avenger shouted. He kicked the stink harder. His foot passed through it. He fell on his bum. Blanky neighed. He swished his tail. Great idea, Blanky, said the Princess in Black. She opened her fan. She fanned her fan at the smell. It's working, said the Goat Avenger. The stench floated away to the south. At last the pasture air was stink-free. The goats cheered. The Princess in Black and the Goat Avenger had saved the day. Chapter 2. Princess Snapdragon was trimming the bushes in her garden. She loved the sunny spot. She released a blooming scene. She savored the scent of flowers. Suddenly, a stink flew into the garden. The lilies sagged, and the lions curled up. The bluebells turned green. Her pet dragon, Moonwhistle, crouched behind the buttercups. She covered her snout. Oh, Moonwhistle, said Princess Snapdragon, this odor is alarming. I wish I could make it go away. Moonwhistle hopped up. She pointed a wing at the garden shed, where they kept their secret disguise. You're right, Moonwhistle, said Princess Snapdragon. We've prepared for this day. It's time at last. Together, they flew into the shed. Then they flew out. They were no longer Princess Snapdragon and Moonwhistle the dragon. They followed the stench out of their kingdom. They followed the stink right into the goat pasture. Wow, said the Goat Avenger, another masked hero. It is I, Flower Girl, said Flower Girl. She tossed a handful of rose petals. It was a nice touch. And this is my faithful companion, Horsefly and Pegasus. Always nice to meet another hero, said Princess in Black. She was out of breath from all of the fanning. Princess in Black, said Flower Girl, you are fanning that horrible smell to the south, and that the south is Princess Snapdragon's kingdom. Oh no, that stings, said Princess in Black. It certainly does, said Goat Avenger, wrinkling his nose. Perhaps we can chase the smell away with flowers, said Flower Girl. Horsefly landed on the grass. The Princess Flower Girl handed out bouquets of roses. The heroes and animals batted their bouquets at the stink. It slithered away to the west. Now the day was saved thanks to the three heroes and their faithful companion. Chapter 3. Princess Honeysuckle was dancing in her garden. She loved the flying leap. She released the low crouch. She savored the joy of the dance. Suddenly, she heard the cries of alarm. Fursuit, what's happening? She asked her fat wolf. Fursuit whined. In the courtyard trees, the songbird was gasping. The songbirds were gagging. A bluebird turned green. What a horrible stench, said Princess Honeysuckle. Fursuit, I think it might be the time. Fursuit smiled a wolf smile. The princess and wolf sneaked into the gag-zoo. They pulled a disguise. Then they lured straight to the goat pasture. It is I, Cartwheel Queen. Cartwheel Queen did a cartwheel. It was a very good cartwheel. And this isn't a wolf. This is my dog. His name is Good Boy. Good Boy barked. It was a pretty good bark. Always nice to meet new heroes, said Princess in Black. We followed the horrible odor all the way from Princess Honeysuckle's kingdom in the west, said Cartwheel Queen. Do you know where it's coming from? The three heroes smiled sheepishly. The goat smiled goatishly. We must have sent it there, said Flower Girl. How to get rid of this smell? Asked Cartwheel Queen. She did another cartwheel. Cartwheels help her to think. Your cartwheel gave me an idea, said Goat Avenger. Cartwheel Queen helped him patch the goat's summer fan. They set it by the hole to Monsterland and pointed up. The fans spun as fast as a cartwheel. The wind from the fan pushed the stink into the clouds. And now, at last, the day was saved, thanks to 4 brave heroes and their fearless companions. Chapter 4. Princess Orchid was trying out a new zip line she'd built in the village playground. She loved a good whoosh. She released a thrilling ride. She savored the whooshing of the wind. But then she zip-lined right through a cloud of stink. Ugh, said Princess Orchid, falling down. All around her, kids was gagging. Kids were gasping. One boy turned green. It was the smelliest smell anyone had ever smelled. Help, said the little girl. It's so gross. The smell, said the little boy, falling to his knees. The smell. I will fix this, said Princess Orchid, somehow. Princess Orchid zip-lined back to her castle. Not a moose, Princess Orchid called out to her reindeer, who was not a moose. Not a moose followed her into the workshop. Princess Orchid whispered into her fur-tipped ear, The time has come. Not a moose nodded. She slid the socks shaped like bunny ears over her antlines. She spotted the stinky trail going up into the clouds. It came down again at the goat pasture, where was a whole bunch of heroes were standing around the hole and a fan. It is I, Mix Fix-It, said Mix Fix-It, and this is my faithful companion, Doom Rabbit the bunny. Doom Rabbit nodded. Her sock hair flopped up and down. I guess you've come from the north? Asked Cartwheel Queen. Where there was a horrible smell, said the Goat Avenger. And you come to stop it, said the Princess in Black. Yes, exactly, said Mix Fix-It. We try to push the stink up, said Flower Girl. What goes up must come down, said Miss Fix-It. And it comes down into my Princess Orchid's kingdom. The Goat Avenger turned off the fan, and the stink once again settled on the goat pasture. The goat whimpered. One fell over with its hooves in the air. If it were a monster, I'd know what to do, said Princess in Black. But how do you fight a stink? Chapter 5. Down in Monsterland. The monsters were groaning. The monsters was griping. A blue monster turned turquoise, all because of one extremely stinky monster. Unusually, monsters enjoyed a good stink. They liked the moody dark corner of caves. They enjoyed rotten fruit. Above all, they adored the odor of goats. But the stinky monster was too much. Rotten fruit smushed between its toes. Garbage clung to its back. Who knew what that stuff on its head? There was an even tiny monster tangled in its filthy fur. It'd been stuck there since last week. Two big nose monsters could not stand it anymore. They plunged their face, they grabbed the stinky monster, and they jumped up right out of Monsterland. The big nose monster dropped the stinky monster in the goat pasture. They whipped their paws on the ground, and they didn't even try to eat goats. They just jumped back into Monsterland as fast as they could go, away from that stinky monster. Chapter 6. The heroes struck battle pose. The stink was a monster after all, and there it sat in the ghost pasture, being sticky. The stinky monster chewed on its dirty paw. It waved. "At last we can find the stink," said Princess in Black. "As soon as the monster said it goes, let's wage battle." "Erp," the stinky monster burped. The Goat Avenger said, "You may not eat the—" "Wait," said Princess in Black. "It didn't said eat goats yet. That's just a burp." Cartwheel Queen clutched her nose. "A stinky burp," she said. "Back burp," Princess Flower shouted. She fanned her bouquet at the burp. "Yes, let's try some battle cries," said the Princess in Black. "Behave, beast!" The stinky monster whipped its nose on the back of its paw. Back to your infernal pit," said the Goat Avenger. The sticky monster scratched under its armpit. A goat gagged. "You may not gag at the goats," shouted Miss Fixit. The stinky monster lay down on its back. It scratched the clouds. It watched the clouds flow by. Monster," said the Princess in Black. The stinky monster flushed goo from its ear. It brushed the goo through its hair, headed for. "How do we fix this?" asked Miss Fixit. Chapter 7. The Princess in Blanket and her unicorn Coney trotted into the goat pasture. She had come for a hero princess playdate. The pasture was the perfect place for a playdate. Sunshine, grassy slope, fresh air, and sometimes monster came out of the hole so they could wage battle. Hooray! There was a monster in the pasture today, and more friends, she waved. The princess in blanketed. She started to shout, but then the stink cloud hit her. "Urk," she said, topping off the Coney's back. "What happened?" "Two of the fresh air." Washcloths spilled out of her head. Miss Fixit picked them up. Said Miss Fixit. "What if we give the monster a bath?" The hero princess all said together. The Goat Avenger would have said it too, but he was running to the shed to fetch the goat's tub. Chapter 8. The sticky monster was stinker than a full litter box. It was stinker than a cloud of torment. It was stinker than a pile of dirty diaper on a hot summer day. The stinky monster was so stinky, it was more stink than monster. The heroes were armed with washcloths and scrub brush, water bucket and goat soaps, and one big goat-sized tub. But the stink was too gross. "The stink is too gross," said Princess in Blanket. They couldn't get near the monster. "We can't even get near the monster," said Princess Flower Girl. The Princess in Black pointed at the tub. "Monster, you need a bath," she said. "No," said the monster, "no bath." "Behave, beast," said Cartwheel Queen, "and get into the tub." "No bath," said the monster. "Order the moo cow," said Princess in Blanket. "How can you do?" Chapter 9. The Goat Avenger took a deep breath and then ran into the stink cloud. He said, "Arr!" Then he said, "Ugh!" Then he fainted from the smell. The Princess in Black hooked the Goat Avenger's ankle with a rope. She pulled him back to safety. "Heroes," she said, None of us can do this alone. We need support. We need to work together. We can get near it, said Miss Fixit. So maybe we can watch it from a distance. A big distance, said Flower Girl. So they made a plan from a big distance. Ready? Said Miss Fixit. Flower Girl leaped onto Horsefly's back. Cartwheel Queen put her hands up, ready to cartwheel. The Princess in Black and the Princess in Blanket aimed hoses. Now, said Miss Fixit, the good Avenger turned on the water. The Cartwheel Queen cartwheeled around the monster, spraying soap as she went. From above, Princess Girl dropped bath bombs. The monster roared. It was a huge, bubbly, soaking wet mess. The stink wasn't gone, but it was better than before. Now the heroes could get closer. No bath, roared the monster. Yes, bath, said Princess in Black. Eat bath, roared the monster. It swallowed the water and some of the soap. It took a bite of a tub, and it burped up a bath bomb. You may not eat your bath, said Princess in Black, and so the heroes and the stinky monster waged battle. Soapy slop, water brush, tinkle tinkle little splash, splash. Chapter 10. Two heroes didn't stop until there was no more stinky monster. Now it was a fluffy monster. It was the fluffiest fluff of a monster the heroes had ever seen. Ah, it's so cute, said Flower Girl. The fluffy monster stuffed its fur. It stuffed its armpit. It sighed a sigh of relief. So did the tiny monster, finally untangled from the funky fur. Ah, they're the cutest, said Flower Girl. The monster sniffed the air. Now that the stink was gone, they could smell the goods. Goats, said the tiny monster. Eat goats, said the fluffy monster. The heroes stuck battle pose. You may not eat the goats, they got to say at last. There were a lot of heroes. The monster looked at each other. They shrugged. Okay, said the tiny monster. Bye-bye, said the fluffy monster. And together, they jumped back into Monsterland. Phew, said Princess in Black. I never could have watched that stinky monster all by myself. That was a situation too stinky for a single hero, said Gold Avenger. Yes, it's good to have support, said Princess in Blanket. How can we find you all if we need big help again? I have an idea, said Miss Fixit. She showed them a small pink stone. I discovered them when I shined the light through it. A pink sparkle twinkled up in the sky. I have a stone just like that, said the Princess in Blanket. Princess Nijord gave it to me. I got it from Princess Honeysuckle, said Cartwheel Queen. Mine was given from Princess Orchard, said Princess Fixit. And I have one from Princess Snapdragon, said Flower Girl. Isn't it wonderful, said Princess in Black. How many princes and heroes are friends? All of my friends and princesses are friends. Heroes, said Gold Avenger, also ghosts. And a really interesting squirrel. Squeak, said the squirrel. Whenever we need help, said Princess in Black, we can shine the light through into this stone. And the sparkle shine signal will show up in the sky. Who knows, said Princess in Blanket. Maybe there are even more heroes out there. Maybe they will see it too. The end.